name is Danny. I'm a graduate student in the DPT program here at ISU. When I realized that I wanted to change my body was right after freshman year, or right at the beginning of freshman year of high school. And I remember because, well, first of all, my whole childhood I was obese. I was really overweight, and I would always hear about it from even my classmates, my family, my friends. And of course, like in my mind, I always wanted to do it, but I never had that internal push to actually go and do it. And then when I went to high school, I had like this pool class where, of course, we had to take our shirts off and we had to swim. And then that was, for me, that was the moment where I was like, I don't like to feel like this, where I was so self-conscious of everything that I was doing. People were still making fun of me, of course. It wasn't helping me. And then my cousin said something very personal to me that definitely motivated me to change. I remember at that moment that I literally sold all my video games that because I was a gamer back then. And then I invested into a gym membership. I researched so many different diets, so many different exercises. And then from that moment on, it was just trial and error from everything. So my biggest struggle when I was going through my fitness journey was definitely the mental aspect of comparing myself. And I know a lot of people can relate to me when I talk about this, but of course we live in our social media era where we scroll on our phone and we see all these people who have like these perfect, quote-unquote perfect bodies, right? But most of the time it's just lighting, it's just Photoshop, it's just, there's so many different manipulations that go on. And then we compare ourselves as we are, as a real human, to something that's on a screen that's most of the time, 99% of the time, not even real. That was been my biggest struggle, of kind of comparing myself to that. But knowing, going forward, the best thing that I had to do was just compare myself to the past version of me. So compare myself to me from yesterday, not from anyone else who's just started their journey or who's like has 5 more years of experience on their journey. That's just not that's not going to help at all. Another struggle that I had was definitely eating, because I've struggled with like a little bit of binge eating disorder, where I would go on large these episodes of just eating everything at once, and then I would feel really bad about it. I would kind of feel really guilty, and then it would kind of regurgitate that cycle of kind of eating again because I feel kind of trash. So it's kind of like a coping mechanism, and now it's kind of just I learned how to deal with it better. I literally tried everything. I've done low carb diets. I've tried fasting. I've done any manipulations with every single macronutrient, like the fats, carbs, like high protein, low carb, low fat, everything. I've just tried everything, and it was all just trial and error from like I said, from when I was a freshman in high school. It didn't really matter which one I did. It didn't matter if I was doing low carbs. It didn't matter if I was fasting or not. I think it was all just staying consistent and like finding how many calories am I going to eat in that day, and then like to space it out so I'm not too worried about what I'm going to eat later, or did I already eat too much or anything like that. My biggest struggle that I've had in this journey, I think a lot of people can kind of relate, is the mental aspect of kind of comparing yourself. Of course, we live in this social media world where all we see, we're scrolling down and we see people with these like sculpted bodies, but most of the time it's just the lighting, or it's just like they're editing it or anything like that. But we always tend to like feel inferior when we do that, when we compare. And so the best thing I try to do is to remember that I'm comparing myself to me from the past, to me from yesterday. I'm not comparing myself to anybody who's just starting their journey, or who's already has more years of experience in their journey. So just keeping that in mind is definitely important. The way you feel about yourself when you're at a healthy weight and you have a healthy body, you feel so much better in your own skin, so that you can kind of be yourself. You don't have to pretend to be anything, because you're happy in your own skin, right? So from my first transformation, from when I first started losing weight, freshman year of high school, I was 230 pounds-ish, around there. And then I lost 100 pounds in the span of, I think, 6 months. So that was very, I was, I think, borderline anorexic, I think. at that point, which was obviously still not healthy. And then like I, of course, trial and error, like I learned and I wanted to gain healthier weight. So I did go back up to about 180, 170, 180. And then from there, I've just been kind of gaining a little bit and then losing a little bit, and then, you know, going back and forth, just trying to recomp my body a little bit better, just gaining more and then gaining more muscle and then losing more fat as well. And so in relationships, like with my girlfriend or my parents, my cousins, friends, everything, I'm able to just kind of be more myself. I'm not really worried about, oh, do they think that I'm too fat? Do they think I'm too this or too that? You know, it's not like that with me. But before, of course, when I was a kid, yeah, I was definitely struggling with that type of thing, like of what do people think about me constantly all the time. But now it's a lot different. When you're doing anything, when you have any type of goal for you, do it for you. Have that internal motivation, because if you're doing it for something else, if you're just trying to prove someone wrong or you're doing it for validation, that's not going to last forever. But if you're doing it for yourself, then that passion is just going to be there in your heart forever. So make sure you're doing it for you first and nobody else, okay?